Hana rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the clock on her desk. 3 in the morning, station time. She had been working for almost 14 hours straight, and her report was still not finished. The small office felt cramped, filled with data screens and stacks of files about alien cultures. Her boots sat under her desk where she had kicked them off hours ago. Her feet were happy to be free. Outside her window, Nexus Station Alpha stretched in all directions. The massive structure floated in space like a small city made of metal and lights. Thousands of aliens from hundreds of different worlds lived and worked here. It was supposed to be a place of peace, where species that once fought wars now talked and made agreements. Hana was one of only 12 humans on the entire station. She took a sip of cold coffee and made a face. Terrible. But she needed to stay awake. The big summit was happening and everyone wanted information about humans. Earth had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago. To most aliens, humans were still strange and new. Earlier that day, Hana had seen Ambassador Kriegthor walking through the corridors with his family. The Varkesh were impossible to miss. Kriegthor stood 7 feet tall, covered in black scales that looked like armor. His eyes glowed golden in the dim light. His mouth had rows of sharp teeth that could tear through metal. His claws could extend like knives, but it was his 3 cubs that made everyone nervous. Kesrin and Tor followed their father, their small bodies already showing signs of their predatory nature. They had claws, teeth, and venom glands. Even though they were children, other species ran away when they saw them coming. Station security cleared entire hallways. Some species refused to be on the same deck as the Varkesh family. Hana thought it was sad. They were just children. Yes, dangerous children, but still children. She had smiled at the cubs as they passed her office door. The smallest one, Kes, had stopped and stared at her with those bright golden eyes. The cub's caretaker had quickly pulled her along, looking terrified that a human had made eye contact with a Varkesh youngling. Now, hours later, Hana was alone in the human section of the station. Her colleague and friend Yuri had gone to bed hours ago. He worked as an engineer and had to wake up early to fix something in the environmental systems. He had stopped by her office before leaving. "You should sleep," he had said, leaning against her doorframe. "I know," Hana had replied. "Just one more report," Yuri had laughed. "You always say that," he was right. She did always say that. But this work was important. The summit was discussing expansion treaties. Which species could claim which parts of space? It was delicate. One wrong word could start a conflict. Hana stretched her arms above her head and heard her spine crack. She needed to move around, maybe get more coffee even if it tasted bad. She was about to stand when her computer screen flashed red. An emergency alert. She clicked on it, expecting another drill. The station had safety drills all the time. But this was not a drill. Station lockdown. Varkesh cubs missing. Extreme. Danger. All personnel remain in current locations. Do not approach the cubs if found. Contact security. Immediately, Hana's blood went cold. The cubs were missing. All 3 of them? She quickly pulled up the station newsfeed. The main channel was chaos. Ambassador Kriegthor was on screen and he looked terrifying. His scales were raised, making him look even bigger. His eyes blazed with rage and fear. He was speaking in Varkesh, which Hana did not understand. But the translator gave her the words, "My children are missing. Find them. Now. If anyone has harmed them, I will destroy this station." The station commander, a 4-armed Quillen named Dex, was trying to calm the ambassador down. It was not working. Other ambassadors stood in the background looking scared. The Varkesh were a warrior species. They had conquered 17 star systems before joining the Galactic Council. No one wanted to make them angry. Security teams were searching every section of the station. Hana watched the feeds from different cameras. Aliens in armor walked through corridors with scanners. Some teams looked nervous. No one wanted to actually find the cubs. Varkesh younglings were known to attack when scared. They had venom that could paralyze most species. Their claws were sharp enough to cut through standard body armor. Hana's door chime rang. She jumped, startled. Her screen showed Yuri standing outside. She opened the door quickly. "Did you see?" Yuri asked, stepping inside. He looked worried. His hair was messy, like he had just woken up. "Yes," Hana said. "This is bad. Really bad," Yuri agreed. "I just got called to check all the human section vents and access panels. They think the cubs might have crawled into the ventilation system. Hana nodded. That made sense. The cubs were small enough to fit. The station's ventilation system connected everything. They could be anywhere. I already checked your office vents, Yuri said, pointing at the grate near the ceiling. All sealed. No way they got in here. I'm going to check the other offices now. Okay, Hana said. Be careful. Yuri gave her a tired smile. They're in some other section, probably. Far away from here. Try not to worry. He left and Hana sat back down at her desk. She tried to focus on her report, but it was impossible. She kept thinking about those 3 small cubs. Where were they? Were they scared? Were they hurt? The station speakers crackled to life. Commander Dex's voice echoed through the halls. All personnel remain calm. We are conducting a thorough search. The Varkish cubs are not dangerous if you do not threaten them. If you see them, do not approach. Contact security immediately. Repeat, do not approach. Not dangerous unless threatened, Hana thought. But how would scared children react to armed security teams? They would feel threatened. They might attack, or run deeper into the station. She looked at her computer screen. The security feeds showed Ambassador Kriegthor walking through corridors, roaring his children's names. Other aliens pressed themselves against walls as he passed. Some ran. The ambassador's pain was clear. He was not just angry. He was terrified for his children. Hana understood that feeling. Love for children was something all species seemed to share. She heard something. A soft sound, like scratching. She paused, listening. There it was again. It came from under her desk. Probably just a station pest. The small 6-legged creatures that looked like mice sometimes got into offices. They were harmless. She felt something brush against her foot. Soft and warm. Then again, more playful this time. Something was definitely under her desk. Hana was wearing her earbuds, listening to soft music to help her focus. She pulled one out and listened. The scratching sound continued. Then she heard something else. A soft chirping sound. Musical and gentle. That was not a station pest. Very slowly, very carefully, Hana pushed her chair back. She leaned down and looked under her desk. 3 pairs of golden eyes stared back at her. The Varkesh cub sat under her desk, playing with her boots. The smallest one, Kes, had curled up around her left boot like it was a pillow. The second cub, Rin, was chewing on the laces of her right boot. The third cub, Tor, sat perfectly still, watching her with intense curiosity. Hana stopped breathing. The cubs looked at her. She looked at the cubs. Nobody moved. Then Kes yawned, showing rows of tiny sharp teeth, and went back to sleep on her boot. Hana sat very still. Her mind raced. The 3 most dangerous children on the station were under her desk, playing with her boots. The entire station was in lockdown looking for them. Their father was threatening to destroy everything. Security teams with weapons were searching every corridor, and the cubs were here, in her office, playing. She thought about pressing the emergency button on her desk. That would bring security immediately. But what would happen then? Armed aliens would burst in. The cubs would get scared. Scared predators attacked. Someone would get hurt. Maybe the cubs. Maybe the security team. Maybe her. She thought about standing up and backing away slowly. But the smallest cub was sleeping on her boot. If she moved, she might wake it. Might scare it, so Hana did the only thing that made sense. She stayed exactly where she was. The cub chewing her bootlace looked up at her. Its golden eyes studied her face. Hana kept her breathing slow and calm. The cub tilted its head, curious. Then it made that chirping sound again, soft and musical, not aggressive. Just curious, hello? Hana whispered. The cub chirped back. Very carefully, Hana moved her hand to her keyboard. She needed to contact someone. Not security. Someone who would understand. Someone who would not send armed teams crashing into her office. She typed a message to Yuri with one hand, moving very slowly. Her other hand stayed visible on her desk so the cubs could see she was not reaching for a weapon. Found them. By office. Do not send security. Send the father. Alone. Quietly. She hit send and waited. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her breathing calm. Animals could sense fear. Could these cubs sense fear? She did not know. The cub that had been watching her, Tor, moved closer. It crawled forward slowly, its small claws clicking on the metal floor. Hana did not move. The cub came right up to her chair and sniffed her leg. Its nose was wet and cold. Then it did something unexpected. It rubbed its scaled head against her ankle. the way a cat might. Hana wanted to reach down and pet it, but she kept her hands where they were. She did not know if touching would be welcome or dangerous. Her computer pinged softly. A message from Yuri. Are you serious? They're really there? Are you okay? Hana typed back quickly. Yes, they're calm. Playing with my boots. Just get the ambassador. Don't tell anyone else yet. On it. Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't do anything, Hana almost laughed. Don't breathe? She had to breathe. But she understood what Yuri meant. Don't do anything to scare them. She looked at the clock. It had been maybe 3 minutes since she found the cubs. It felt like hours. How long would it take Yuri to reach Commander Dex? To convince him to bring Ambassador Kriegthor here quietly? The cub at her ankle, Tor, settled down on her foot. The weight was warm and surprisingly heavy. The cub's scales were smooth, not rough like she expected. Through her thin socks, she could feel the creature's heartbeat, fast like a bird's. On the security feeds playing on her screen, Hana could see the chaos continuing. Teams were searching the lower decks now. Ambassador Kriegthor was still roaring through corridors. Other ambassadors were in emergency meetings, worried about how this would affect the summit. If the cubs were hurt, the Varkesh would leave the Galactic Council. They might even declare war. Other species would take sides. Everything could fall apart, because 3 children had gotten lost. Hana looked down at the cubs again. Kes was still sleeping on her left boot. Rin had stopped chewing the laces and was now examining the boot's zipper, batting at it with one claw. Tor was lying on her foot, eyes half closed. They looked so peaceful, so normal, just children exploring and playing. She heard footsteps in the corridor outside. Fast footsteps. Multiple people. Hana's stomach tightened. Security? No. Yuri said he would bring the ambassador quietly. The footsteps passed by her door, going to another office. Hana released a breath she did not know she was holding. Tor's eyes opened. The cub looked up at her, golden eyes glowing in the dim office light. Hana looked back. They stayed like that for a moment, human and alien, just looking at each other. Then Tor chirped and closed its eyes again. Hana's computer showed another message. This time from Commander Dex directly. We're bringing Ambassador Kriegthor to your location. ETA 5 minutes. He's difficult right now. Are you absolutely sure the cubs are there and unharmed? Hana typed back. Positive. They're fine. They're calm, but make sure he comes in quietly. If he scares them, they might run. Understood. Security teams are standing by in case needed. No security teams, Hana typed quickly. Just the father. That's it. Security will scare them. There was a pause. Then Dex replied. You're asking me to trust you with 3 predator cubs and their father in a small room with no backup. Yes, Hana typed. I am. Another pause. Longer this time. Okay, your call. But I'm watching on your office camera. One wrong move and I'm sending everyone. Hana looked up and found the camera in the corner of her ceiling. She gave it a small nod. 5 minutes. She had 5 minutes to prepare. Prepare for what? How did you prepare to meet an angry alien father whose children were under your desk? She looked down at the cubs. They had not moved. Still calm. Still peaceful. Hana reached slowly into her desk drawer. The cubs watched but did not react. She pulled out her lunch bag. Inside was a simple sandwich and an apple. She had been too busy to eat it. She broke off a small piece of bread. Carefully, she dropped it near the cubs. It landed next to Rin. The cub sniffed it, looked at it, then ate it in one quick bite. The cub chirped happily. Hana broke off another piece and dropped it near Tor. Same reaction. Sniff, eat, chirp. She tried to wake Kes by dropping a piece near the sleeping cub's nose. Kes's eyes opened slowly. The cub saw the bread, ate it, then went back to sleep on the boot. Okay, they liked bread. That was good to know. Footsteps in the corridor again. These were slower, heavier. Hana heard voices. Yuri's voice, calm and steady. Commander Dex's voice, nervous. And a third voice, deep and rumbling. Speaking in Varkesh, Ambassador Kriegthor was here. Hana's heart beat faster. This was it. She sat up straight in her chair, but did not move her feet. The cubs were still there, still calm. The door chimed. Hana took a breath. Come in, she said quietly. The door opened. Ambassador Kriegthor filled the doorway. He was massive. His scales were still raised, making him look even bigger. His eyes glowed with rage and fear. His claws were extended. Behind him, Yuri and Commander Dex stood in the corridor looking terrified. Kriegthor opened his mouth to speak. Then he stopped. His head tilted. His scale slowly lowered. He heard it. The chirping. His children's chirping. The ambassador's eyes found Hana. She met his gaze and did not look away. Slowly, she pointed down at the space under her desk. Kriegthor moved forward carefully. For such a large creature, he could be surprisingly quiet. He came around her desk and looked down. There they were.
His 3 cubs.
Kess sleeping on a human's boot. Rin playing with bootlaces. Tor lying on the human's foot. All 3 looked up at their father and chirped happily. Kriegthor made a sound Hana had never heard before. Low and rumbling like a purr. He looked at Hana, then at his cubs, then at Hana again. How? He asked. His voice was rough like gravel. Hana shrugged slightly. They came in through the vent, I think. They've been here for about 2 hours. They were just playing. I didn't want to scare them. 2 hours, Kriegthor repeated. His claws slowly retracted. You sat here for 2 hours with my cubs. You did not call security. They're just children, Hana said simply. I didn't want them to get scared. The ambassador stared at her for a long moment. Then he carefully reached down and picked up Kess. The cub protested, chirping sadly at leaving the comfortable boot. Kriegthor made soothing sounds and held his daughter close. He picked up the other 2 cubs, one in each arm. They snuggled against him, happy to be with their father. Kriegthor stood there, holding his children, looking at the human who had kept them safe. Thank you, he said quietly. Hana nodded. You're welcome. Outside her office, she could hear Commander Dex speaking into his communicator. Cubs found safe, lockdown ending. But Ambassador Kriegthor did not leave. He stood there studying Hana with those golden eyes. Why were you not afraid? He asked. Hana thought about the ambassador's question. Why was she not afraid? She looked at the 3 cubs in his arms. They looked so content now, snuggled against their father. I was afraid at first, Hana admitted, but they didn't act aggressive. They were just playing, being curious. Like any children would be, Kriegthor's eyes narrowed. My cubs have venom, claws, teeth. They can kill most species without trying. You sat still for 2 hours. It takes more than just not being afraid, Hana shrugged. I grew up with dogs, big dogs. They had teeth too. Sharp ones, but if you stay calm around them, they stay calm around you. I figured it might work the same way. Dogs? Kriegthor repeated the word slowly. I have read about these creatures. Humans keep predators in their homes. They're not predators anymore, Hana said. They're friends, family. The ambassador made that rumbling sound again. He looked down at his cubs, then back at Hana. I need to understand this. How humans think. How you do these things that should not be possible. Commander Dex appeared in the doorway. His 4 arms were crossed and he looked relieved but also confused. Ambassador, the station is standing down from lockdown. Should I announce that the cubs are safe? Yes, Kriegthor said. Tell everyone my children are unharmed. Thanks to this human. Dex nodded and spoke into his communicator. Within seconds, Hana could hear the announcement echoing through the station corridors. The lockdown was over. The cubs were safe. Yuri stepped into the office looking at Hana with wide eyes. You just sat there? With 3 Varkesh cubs? For 2 hours? What else was I supposed to do? Hana asked. Yuri laughed. It was a slightly hysterical laugh. I don't know. Panic, run, call for help immediately. Normal things. That would have scared them, Hana pointed out. Everything scares everyone away from Varkesh cubs, Commander Dex said. Except apparently humans. Kriegthor was still standing in her office holding his children. He seemed reluctant to leave. Finally he spoke. I request permission to return tomorrow. With my cubs. I want to understand what happened here. Hana blinked in surprise. You want to come back here? Yes, my cubs are comfortable with you. This has never happened before. Even our own caretakers must use dominance displays and strict protocols. But you just sat there, and they played. He looked genuinely confused. I need to understand. Okay, Hana said. You can come back, Kriegthor nodded. He turned to leave, then stopped. What is your name, human? Hana, he repeated. I am Kriegthor. My cubs are Kess, Rin, and Tor. You have done my family a great service. I will not forget this. He left with his cubs. Yuri and Commander Dex stayed behind. Dex closed the door and looked at Hana. Do you understand what just happened? the commander asked. The cubs got lost and I found them? Hana said. No, Dex said. The Varkesh ambassador, who was ready to tear this station apart, is now grateful to a human. The cubs, who have bitten 3 different caretakers this month, played peacefully with you for 2 hours. This is not normal. Yuri sat down in the chair across from Hana's desk. He's right. The Varkesh are warriors, proud, aggressive. They don't ask to understand others. They demand obedience. Maybe they're just protective parents, Hana said. Any parent would be scared if their children went missing. You're not getting it, Dex said.
He pulled up a file on his datapad.
Let me show you something. 3 months ago, a Quillan child wandered into the Varkesh quarters by accident. The cubs attacked. The child survived but needed medical treatment. 2 months ago, a maintenance worker accidentally opened a vent near the cubs. They attacked him too. Last month, their own caretaker tried to stop them from fighting each other. They bit her. She's still recovering. He showed her the medical reports. Hana read them, frowning. But they didn't attack me, she said. Exactly, Dex said. Why? Hana thought about it. She remembered sitting at her desk, feeling something brush her foot. She remembered looking under the desk and seeing those golden eyes. She remembered staying calm. I didn't show fear, she said slowly. I didn't try to control them or grab them. I just let them be. Other species ran away or tried to contain them, Yuri added. You did neither. Humans are strange, Dex said, but he did not sound critical. He sounded curious. You have no natural weapons. No armor, no venom. You're physically weak compared to most species, but you do things like this, sitting calmly with predator cubs. Over the next few days, word spread through the station, the human who calmed the Varkesh cubs. Other species started looking at Hana differently. Some with respect, some with confusion, some with fear, as if she might be dangerous herself. Kriegthor returned the next day as promised. He brought his cubs. This time they walked openly through the corridors. Other species still cleared out of the way, but the cubs did not seem aggressive. They chirped and looked around with curiosity. In Hana's office, Kriegthor sat in the chair across from her desk. It was too small for him, but he managed. The cubs immediately went under her desk and found her boots again. They remember, Kriegthor said, sounding surprised. They're smart, Hana said. Yes, but Varkesh cubs do not form attachments to other species. They barely form attachments to their own kind outside of family. Yet my cubs asked to come here. They wanted to see you. Hana looked under her desk. Kess was curled up on her boot again, already falling asleep. Rin was examining the laces. Tor was watching her with those bright golden eyes. Can I ask you questions? Kriegthor said. About humans? Sure, Hana said. Your species evolved as predators? Sort of. We were hunters, yes. But we were also hunted. We were in the middle. Not the strongest. Not the fastest. We had to be smart and work together. And you made alliances with other predators. These dogs, yes, thousands of years ago, we found wolves. They were predators like us. We hunted together. Eventually, they became dogs. Our companions. Why would predators work together? Because working together made us both stronger, Hana explained. The wolves could track prey better than we could. We could make tools and weapons. Together we were more successful. Kriegthor considered this. The Varkesh conquered alone. We did not need alliances. We were strong enough. But conquest isn't the same as cooperation, Hana said gently. The ambassador was quiet for a long time. Then he said, My species has been warriors for thousands of years. We take what we want. We fight when challenged. It has made us powerful, but it has also made us isolated. Other species fear us. They do not want to know us. Your cubs could change that, Hana said. How? Teach them that not everyone is a threat or a resource. Teach them to be curious instead of aggressive. They're already curious, I saw it. They came to explore, not to attack. Kriegthor looked at his cubs. Rin had found a piece of lint and was batting it around like a toy. Kess was snoring softly on the boot. Tor had crawled closer to Hana's feet and was watching her work on her computer. You think my cubs can learn peace? He asked. I think all children can learn, Hana said. What they become depends on what we teach them. Over the following weeks, Kriegthor brought his cubs to Hana's office every day. She learned about Varkesh culture. He learned about human culture. The cubs learned that not all species were dangerous. Hana taught them games. Simple things like rolling a ball back and forth. The cubs loved it. She taught them words in standard, the common galactic language. They were quick learners. Kriegthor watched everything. He asked questions constantly. About Earth, about human history, about how humans raise their young. Yuri joined them sometimes. He brought pictures and videos from Earth. They showed Kriegthor images of humans with dogs, cats, horses, even wild animals like deer and birds. You touch these creatures, Kriegthor said, watching a video of a human petting a tiger. That creature could kill you easily. Yes, Yuri agreed. But it doesn't want to, because we've built trust. Trust, Kriegthor repeated. Varkesh do not trust easily. Maybe you should start, Hana suggested. The ambassador looked at his cubs. They were playing with Hana's boots again. They chirped happily. They did not show any aggression. Perhaps, he said quietly. Word of these meetings spread. Other ambassadors became curious. Commander Dex asked Hana to prepare a report on human-Varkesh interactions. The Galactic Council wanted to understand what was happening. The summit continued, but now there was a new topic of discussion. The humans. These strange, weak creatures who could calm the most feared predators in the galaxy. One day, Kriegthor arrived without his cubs. He looked serious. I have a proposal, he said. For you and for your species. Hana put down her work. What kind of proposal? The Varkesh want to learn from humans. We want to understand how you build these bonds, these friendships with creatures that should be enemies. He paused. We want you to teach our cubs. Not just mine. All of them. Hana stared at him. All of them? How many are we talking about? On our homeworld, there are millions of cubs. Here on the station, there are 20 families. That is 60 cubs total. 60? Hana said, I'm just one person. I know. That is why I am requesting that Earth send more humans. Teachers, diplomats, people who understand how to build trust across species. Hana sat back in her chair. This was big. Much bigger than finding 3 lost cubs under her desk. I'll need to ask Earth, she said. This is beyond my authority. I understand. But Hana, I believe this could change everything. For my... The message to Earth took 3 days to arrive. Hana sent a detailed report explaining everything that had happened. She described the missing cubs, the peaceful encounter, and Ambassador Kriegthor's proposal. Then she waited. While waiting, she continued her daily meetings with the Varkesh family. The cubs were growing comfortable not just with her but with Yuri as well. They had stopped attacking their regular caretaker. They were learning to control their aggressive instincts. Other species on the station noticed the change. The corridors did not empty anymore when the Varkesh cubs walked through. Some species even stopped to watch them play. From a safe distance, of course, but it was progress. Commander Dex called Hana to his office on the 3rd day. When she arrived, she found him watching video files on multiple screens. Come in, he said. I want to show you something. Hana sat down. Dex played a video. It showed a human child, maybe 5 years old, sitting on the ground. A large dog sat next to the child. The dog's head was bigger than the child's. Its teeth were clearly visible. But the child was hugging the dog and the dog's tail wagged happily. This should not work, Dex said. That creature is a predator. It could kill that child in seconds. But instead, it protects the child. Loves the child. He played another video. A human swimming with sharks. Another video of a human riding a horse. Another of a human holding a snake. I have been studying human history since the incident with the cubs, Dex said. Your species does this constantly. You make friends with dangerous creatures. You domesticate them. You keep them in your homes. We like animals, Hana said simply. It is more than liking them, Dex argued. He pulled up more files. Humans domesticated wolves into dogs 10,000 years ago. You domesticated cats 5,000 years ago. Horses, cattle, chickens, rabbits, even insects like bees. You form emotional bonds with creatures that have no logical reason to bond with you. We're social, Hana said. We need connections, friends, family. But you extend that need beyond your own species, Dex said. No other species does this. Quillins work together, but only with other Quillins. The Varkesh form family bonds, but only with Varkesh. The Lithians bond with their hive, but that is genetic programming. He turned to face her directly. Humans bond with anything, everything. It is your defining trait, and it is either the most useful or most dangerous ability in the galaxy. Why dangerous? Hana asked. Because it means humans can infiltrate any culture. Make friends with any species. Build trust where others cannot. Dex did not sound accusatory, just thoughtful. Other ambassadors are nervous. If humans can calm Varkesh cubs, what else can they do? Before Hana could respond, her communicator buzzed. A message from Earth had arrived. Her hands shook slightly as she opened it. Earth's response was clear. They approved the proposal. They would send 20 more humans to Nexus Station Alpha. Teachers, diplomats, and xenobiologists. They would establish a cultural exchange program with the Varkesh. The program would be called the Friendship Initiative. But there was more. Earth's government wanted Hana to lead the program. They were promoting her to Senior Cultural Ambassador. She would coordinate all human Varkesh interactions. Hana read the message 3 times. A promotion. A huge responsibility. Everything was changing so fast. Good news or bad news? Dex asked, watching her face. Both, Hana said. She showed him the message. Dex read it and nodded. You deserve this. You started it. You should lead it. I just found some lost cubs, Hana said. I didn't plan any of this. The best changes often start by accident, Dex said. The next day, Ambassador Kriegthor called an official meeting. He requested Hana, Yuri, Commander Dex, and representatives from 5 other major species. They met in one of the large conference rooms. Kriegthor stood at the head of the table. His 3 cubs sat quietly beside him. This alone was remarkable. Varkesh cubs did not sit quietly in formal meetings. But Kesrin and Tor had learned. They watched the adults with curious golden eyes. I have invited you here to make an announcement, Kriegthor began. The Varkesh Empire is entering a new era. We have been warriors for thousands of years. We have conquered. We have fought. We have been feared. He paused, looking at each representative. But fear is not the same as respect. Conquest is not the same as cooperation. I have learned this from humans. Several representatives shifted uncomfortably. The idea of the Varkesh changing was frightening to some. Kriegthor was one of their most powerful military allies. I am not saying we will become weak. Kriegthor continued. Varkesh will always be strong. But strength can be used for building, not just destroying. My cubs have shown me this, he gestured to Kes, Rin, and Tor. They have learned to control their instincts, to be curious instead of aggressive, to see other species as potential friends, not threats. If cubs can learn this, so can adult Varkesh. A Lithian representative raised a delicate limb. Ambassador, what exactly are you proposing? A cultural exchange with Earth, Kriegthor said. Humans will come to teach our cubs. In return, we will share our knowledge of warfare, strategy, and strength with humans. Both species will benefit. And if this fails? Asked a Trilox representative. If the cubs cannot be taught? If they attack the humans? Then we will learn from failure, Kriegthor said. But I do not believe it will fail. I have seen it work. My cubs have not attacked anyone since meeting Hana. They have learned to play instead of fight. Yuri stood up. If I may speak, he said. The representatives looked at him. I have brought some materials from Earth, things that might help you understand what we're proposing. He activated a holographic display. It showed images of Earth, cities where humans and dogs walked together, farms where humans worked with horses and cattle, research centers where humans studied alongside dolphins and elephants. This is normal on Earth, Yuri explained. We share our world with millions of other species. We have learned to coexist, to cooperate. Yes, we are predators, but we are also friends, protectors, teachers. He showed more images. Humans rescuing injured animals. Humans protecting endangered species. Humans playing with their pets. Humans have a saying, Yuri continued. A dog is man's best friend. We form these bonds naturally. We extend them to any creature willing to accept friendship. The Varkesh cubs accepted it. We believe adult Varkesh can too. The meeting lasted 3 hours. Representatives asked many questions. Some were supportive. Some were skeptical. Some were afraid, but in the end, the proposal was approved. The Friendship Initiative would begin in 1 month. 20 humans would arrive. The program would start small, with just the 60 cubs currently on the station. If it worked, it would expand to the Varkesh homeworld. After the meeting, Kriegthor approached Hana privately. I want you to know something, he said. This is not just about teaching cubs. This is about changing my entire species. We have been at war for so long, we forgot how to be anything else. Change is hard, Hana acknowledged. Yes, but necessary. I have 3 cubs. They will grow up to be leaders one day. I want them to lead with wisdom, not just strength. I want them to build alliances, not empires." He looked down at his children who were playing with a ball Hana had given them. "You gave me hope that this is possible." Over the next month, the station prepared for the arrival of more humans. Hana worked with Commander Dex to arrange quarters, office space, and classroom areas. She developed a curriculum for teaching, the Varkesh Cubs. The curriculum focused on simple concepts: empathy, patience, communication, trust, things that seemed basic to humans but were revolutionary for Varkesh. Yuri helped design interactive learning tools, games that required cooperation instead of competition, puzzles that needed teamwork to solve, activities that built friendships. Other species watched these preparations with interest. The Lithians asked if humans might help with their own cultural challenges. The Trilocks requested meetings to discuss human teaching methods. Even species that had been cold to humans before started asking questions. Hana found herself giving presentations almost daily, explaining human nature, describing Earth's history of domestication and cooperation, answering questions about why humans trusted so easily. "Is it not dangerous?" asked a Quillan scientist. "To trust creatures that could harm you?" "Yes," Hana admitted. "Humans have been killed by animals we tried to befriend. Dogs sometimes bite, horses sometimes kick, wild animals sometimes attack. But we keep trying because the rewards are worth the risks." "What rewards?" the scientist asked. Hana thought about her old dog from Earth, a large mixed breed she had found as a puppy. He had lived for 15 years. He had been her best friend through difficult times. He had never judged her, never left her. He had just loved her unconditionally. "Companionship," she said. "Loyalty, love. These things are worth the risk." The 20 humans arrived on schedule. Hana met them at the docking bay. They were all volunteers. Teachers, animal trainers, psychologists, and diplomats. They had all studied Varkesh culture. They were all ready to try something that had never been attempted before. Among them was an elderly woman named Minji. She had spent 40 years training rescue dogs on Earth. She was small, barely 5 feet tall, with gray hair and gentle eyes. "I heard about you sitting calmly with 3 predator cubs," Minji said to everyone. "I should be afraid, but I just sat there and—" 3 months after the Friendship Initiative began, Hana stood in what used to be an empty cargo bay. Now it was a learning center filled with Varkesh cubs and human teachers. The transformation was remarkable. 60 Varkesh cubs were divided into small groups. Each group had 2 human teachers. The cubs were learning basic concepts, sharing, taking turns, communicating without aggression, things that came naturally to human children but were difficult for Varkesh young. Hana watched Minji work with a group of 5 cubs. The elderly woman sat on the floor, a ball in her hands. The cubs sat in a circle around her, their golden eyes focused and alert. "Who wants the ball?" Minji asked in simple standard. 5-clawed hands shot up. The cubs chirped eagerly. "Good, but we only have 1 ball, so we share. I roll it to you, you roll it back. Then I roll it to someone else. Everyone gets a turn." She rolled the ball to the nearest cub. The cub caught it, looked at it, then looked back at Minji. For a moment, Hana thought the cub might keep it. That was the Varkesh instinct. Taken hold, but the cub rolled it back. Minji smiled. "Good job. Now I roll it to someone else." She continued the game. Each cub got the ball. Each cub rolled it back. No fighting, no aggression, just playing. Across the room, Yuri was teaching a different group about emotions. He showed them pictures of different facial expressions: happy, sad, angry, afraid. "When someone looks like this," Yuri said, showing a sad face, "how should we act?" A small cub named Vess raised her claw. "Gentle?" she said in halting standard. "Yes, gentle. When someone is sad, we are gentle with them. We do not attack. We do not scare them. We help them feel better." The cubs listened intently. They were learning, slowly but surely. Not everything was perfect. There had been incidents. One cub had bitten a teacher during the first week. The teacher had startled the cub by moving too quickly. The bite was not deep, and the teacher recovered, but it reminded everyone that these were still predators. Another cub had attacked a cleaning robot, thinking it was a threat. The robot was destroyed, but no one was hurt. Each incident was treated as a learning opportunity. The humans did not punish the cubs. They explained why the behavior was wrong. They taught better responses. Kriegthor visited the learning center every day. He watched his cubs interact with humans and other Varkesh cubs. Kes, Rin, and Tor had become leaders among the young Varkesh. They showed other cubs how to play gently, how to communicate, how to make friends. One afternoon, Kriegthor found Hana in her office. It was still the same small space, though now her boots were always under her desk. Kes liked to nap on them during lunch breaks. "I have news from the Varkesh homeworld," he said, sitting in the too small chair. Hana looked up from her reports. "Good news or bad news?" "Good, I think. The Council of Elders has approved expanding the program. They want human teachers on our homeworld. Starting with 10 cities, 100 cubs in each city." Hana did the math quickly. 1,000 cubs. That would require at least 50 human teachers, maybe more. "That is a big expansion," she said. "The elders are impressed with the results here. They have watched the videos I sent them. They see the change in the cubs. They want this for all young Varkesh." Kriegthor leaned forward. "But there is more. They want to change our education system entirely. Not just for cubs, for adolescents, even young adults. They want to learn cooperation, diplomacy, building instead of destroying." "That is a huge cultural shift," Hana said. "Yes. And it frightens some Varkesh. They worry we will lose our strength, our warrior spirit. But I tell them strength comes in many forms. A warrior who chooses when to fight is stronger than one who fights without thinking." He gestured to the learning center visible through her office window.
These cubs are not weak.
"They are still Varkesh. They still have claws, teeth, venom. But now they have something else. Choice. They can choose to fight or choose to make peace." Over the following weeks, more humans arrived at the station. Earth was fully supporting the initiative now. Teachers, diplomats, and specialists in animal behavior, they all came to help with the Varkesh program. But something unexpected happened. Other species started requesting similar programs. The Lithians wanted help with their communication problems. Their hive mind made it difficult for individuals to express personal thoughts. Humans, with their strong sense of individuality, might be able to teach them. The Trilocs wanted help with their fear responses. As a prey species, they panicked easily. Humans who could remain calm in dangerous situations might teach them confidence. Even the Quillans, who considered themselves already advanced, asked for cultural exchange programs. They wanted to understand human cooperation methods. Commander Dex called it the human effect. Every species that interacted closely with humans came away changed. Not weaker, just different, more open, more willing to try new things. One day, 6 months into the program, Hana was called to an emergency meeting. She arrived at the conference room to find representatives from 12 different species. All looked serious. "What's wrong?" Hana asked, worried something terrible had happened. "Nothing is wrong," said the Quillan representative. "We called this meeting to make a proposal." The Trilocs representative stood. "We have observed the human programs on this station. The Varkesh cubs have shown remarkable progress. Other species have benefited from human teaching methods. We believe humans have a unique gift. We would like to propose a new position on the Galactic Council," the Lithian representative added. "A position specifically for humanity. You would be ambassadors of integration. Your role would be to help species understand each other, to build bridges, to teach cooperation." Hana sat down slowly. "That is a significant role." "Yes," agreed the Quillan. "But humans are suited for it. You have no natural weapons, so you are not seen as military threats. You have no telepathy, so you are not seen as manipulators. You are simply good at making friends. We fear humans sometimes," the Trilocs admitted, "because you are fearless in ways we do not understand. But we also recognize the value of that fearlessness. You try things we would never attempt, like sitting calmly with predator cubs." Ambassador Kriegthor entered the room. "I support this proposal fully. Humans have changed my species for the better. They can do the same for others." The vote was unanimous. Humanity would become the Galactic Council's ambassadors of integration. It was an honor, and a huge responsibility. That evening, Hana returned to her office. She needed to send a report to Earth about the new role. But first, she just sat at her desk thinking about how much had changed. 6 months ago, she was just a xenobiologist writing reports. Now she was leading a program that was changing galactic politics, all because 3 cubs had crawled through a vent and played with her boots. She heard familiar chirping. Kes, Rin, and Tor entered her office. They were bigger now, almost adolescent size, but they still visited her every day. Kes went straight to her usual spot, curling up on Hana's left boot under the desk. Rin examined the items on Hana's desk with curious claws. Tor sat beside her chair, watching her work. Kriegthor appeared in the doorway. "They still love you," he said. "More than anyone else except family." "I love them too," Hana said honestly. "They ask about Earth," Kriegthor said. "About dogs and cats and horses. They want to visit someday, to see where humans learn to make friends with predators." "They would be welcome," Hana said. "Though I think my neighbors might panic if they saw Varkesh in the park." Kriegthor laughed. It was a sound Hana had learned to recognize. Varkesh laughter sounded like rocks grinding together, but it was genuine amusement. "Perhaps we start smaller," he suggested. "A few Varkesh families visiting Earth. A few human families visiting the Varkesh homeworld. Cultural exchange at the personal level. I like that idea," Hana said. Yuri knocked on the open door. "Hey, Hana. I just got word that 50 more human teachers are arriving next week. Earth is sending their best. We're going to need more classroom space." "Already arranged," Hana said, showing him her schedule. "The station is adding 2 new sections specifically for education programs. Not just Varkesh. Multiple species. We're going to need a bigger station," Yuri joked. "Probably," Hana agreed. Minji joined them, looking tired but happy. "Just finished today's lessons. I had a breakthrough with young Kor. He has been aggressive all month, but today he shared his toy with another cub. Actually shared it. Without being told. That is progress," Kriegthor said approvingly. They talked for a while about the program, about the successes and challenges, about plans for expansion, about the future. Eventually everyone left except Kriegthor and his cubs. The ambassador looked at Hana thoughtfully. "Do you know what you have done?" he asked. "Help some cubs learn to play nicely?" Hana suggested. "No, you have changed the course of galactic history. The Varkesh were conquerors. We took what we wanted, destroyed what opposed us. In a few generations, we would have controlled half the galaxy through force." He gestured to his cubs. "But these 3 played with your boots instead of attacking, and that changed everything. They showed me that strength without wisdom is just violence. That conquest without friendship is just loneliness." "You would have figured it out eventually," Hana said. "Perhaps. Perhaps not. But you accelerated it. You showed us a different,